Hey everyone, it's Ryan again, and I'm here with another tactical puzzle. This particular motif is again focused on the pin. Alright, so if you look at this position, white has fully developed, he has castled, and his rooks are connected. Black has not been able to castle. It looks like his king has lost the right to castle because he is on f8, and his rook is not out of the corner on h8. And there is definitely some tactical possibilities here in this position. The pin, all right, oftentimes comes about from opening up or moving a piece out of the way of one of your pieces, creating a pin. But also, when you move your piece, you're attacking something. So they call this a double attack and also a discovered attack. But the idea is to create a pin, or to see that the pin is there and that you can exploit the position from this pin, right? So this position, the F file is half open and the rook is placed on the F file and the king is on the F file, right? That is very important to notice, is the rook and the king on the same file, especially when it comes to absolute pins, all right? So now, in this position, there's actually a forced series of exchanges, discovering certain attacks. Also, with at the same time, when you're performing a discovered attack, it can also, like I said, be performing another function, which is putting that piece in a pin by opening up an attack from another piece on that piece. All right. So in this position, there's actually an extremely powerful move which attacks the black queen and makes him have to maneuver, makes him have to move out of the way, all right, because the rook will be attacking him. And it's not necessarily bishop to g5. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad move, but it's not great because it's just, it's like, might get your queen to trade, and just, it's not, there's a very clear idea here, right? And that is taking this knight on e5 with your bishop on f4. And what this does is this creates and it opens up an attack on the queen. But what it also does is it creates a pin on that f7 pawn, all right? So when your bishop takes on e5, the rook is also attacking the queen. And so the queen must move. He can't just capture back with the pawn and still protect the f7 square because the rook's attacking him. He must take with the queen. Maneuvering his queen out of the way of the attack from the rook, but the pawn is now useless, more or less, because it is placed in an absolute pin. So with the pawn being useless and it trying to protect the piece, they call this now more or less a loose piece because the protection is invisible. All right, so if we're able to create that pin, right, and if queen takes on e5, you could be able to exploit this by taking the bishop on e6 because of the pawn on f7 is pinned, thus winning a piece. But if you take on e6, there's nothing stopping the queen on e5 from just taking your bishop on e6. So first, after you create the discover an attack on the queen, creating the X-ray pin, all right, it is in a position to protect the piece that you are trying to win. But if you first trade queens and then take the piece, I think you are getting away with winning a piece. I think you're just winning a piece, not getting away. But I think that is a winning combination. So let's look at this first before we move anything. Bishop takes e5, right? Queen takes e5. Queen takes e5. Pawn takes e5. And now, with all these pieces out of the way, the rook is threatening the queen, or the king, threatening the pawn, pinning that pawn. Right? And at the tail end of this combination, we have bishop takes e6. Right? After all these trades. Sometimes it's hard to see, but just practicing and not necessarily even getting all of them right every time. It's just having someone explain, the ideas and how they're interrelated, and just going over the way the pieces can maneuver together really helps with being able to envision them and just start seeing them in your own games. At least for me, it has. So let's try this out. Bishop takes e5. Now queen takes because of the threat from the rook. And now queen takes. And when he recaptures, your opponent recaptures, we have this bishop takes e6. And because this pawn is pinned, it is pretty much useless. It's nothing. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed that. And thanks for watching. Let's one more time run through it real quick. Just the ideas. Discovered attack and creating a pin. Two functions. You want to try and have your pieces and make moves that have more than one idea behind them. All right? So, exchange, attack, discovered attack, pin, exchange, and capturing pin or exploited piece. All right, so boom, discovered, bam, and there we go. All right, guys. I will be back with another video shortly, and I hope you enjoyed.